Well, hello again, everyone. If you're listening to this message, you are one of our athletes who chose to identify in the registration process that you are interested in goalie, ranging from a full-time goalie at some of the older levels to at some of the younger levels, helping us understand who is starting to have an interest in goal. And I spoke with Kim Simon, our outgoing goalie director, who's presently covering the role last night, and Carmen Biggins will be assuming the goalie director role in the future. As Kim and Carmen pass the torch, I just wanted to make sure you all were informed heading into this very exciting time of the season. So as far as today goes, we're going to talk about that question, the registration question, and then get into some other comments around prep skates, the AA tryouts, and then the various age levels and what we're seeing and what we're wanting to pass along. So starting with the registration question, it would have been 2 years ago we added this question to our registration process. It has given us many gifts in the form of understanding at each level who is interested in goal, in particular at the early ages. I would acknowledge at times I've noticed that question has sometimes created confusion, and that's part of why we're having this message today, is to clarify exactly what our plan is around the goalies that have identified at the older levels, where a lot of the players and teams start to get familiarity with who is the goalie at a given age and where do they tend to land and those good things. At the younger ages, that's where it starts to get sorted out to see who does want to be that full-time goalie one day. And we'll talk about a bit of the long-term athlete development interpretations by Ring It Alberta when we get to those younger age groups. Prep skate, and this is important to note, we have decided we're not going to proceed with the prep skate for goalies that we would have posted online. Just in chatting with Kim, who led the process last year, what we want are our full-time goalies at the older levels. So if you're U14 and up, attend your age level prep skate as a goalie. For all of the U12 goalies that expressed interest, you are evaluating as a player. And we'll get into U12 a little bit later, but that is why we decided to not proceed with the goalie prep skate. And you'll notice that removed from our evaluations calendar. Our apologies if you noticed that. It was just a decision we made more recently after what Kim would have shared occurred last year, which was fine, just didn't have the value we were hoping for everyone. AA tryouts. So if you're listening and you are a goalie here in Edmonton trying out for AA, all the best. That's an incredible program and sometimes a very tough one to make. So all the very best. Obviously, at each age level, they'll be forming their teams slightly at different times around the Labor Day weekend or just shortly thereafter. On our end here in Edmonton, we look forward to welcoming back any Edmonton athletes who weren't maybe successful at the AA program, but are nonetheless excited to take the net here in the association. And I'd say if you're listening to this message, sometimes it helps us if we know clearly, are you planning to return? I think for most of our goalies that we have a sense of their past, we know the ones that are. There's some new names on the list that we don't know what will or will not happen in the AA tryouts, but if you don't have interest in returning to the Edmonton Association, if you are not successful trying out for one of the AA programs and you registered through us here in Edmonton, please let someone like myself, someone like our registrar, Katie Vegan, someone like our goalie director, Kim Simon know. We just at this time of year try to get a sense of how many teams are we forming at the age levels, do we have enough goalies, etc. On that note, for U16 and U19, it appears if kind of the chips fall where we believe they will, coming out of the AA tryouts on both the player and the goaltending level, we should have at least one goalie for every team. We have started to engage. It looks like at U19, we potentially might have two goalies for some teams. And my own daughter is a U19 goalie. And actually, that can be a good thing at that age levels. Kids sometimes get a little more involved at school, a little more involved maybe with a job. And sometimes it's incredibly helpful to have that dual goaltending situation. So we're trying to be very transparent there. U14, it looks like at the A and B level, we have full-time goalies, and at C, we might have some part-time goalies. But again, we'll see where the chips fall. And certainly our goaltending director is keeping a close eye on things. And then U12, and this also would include any U10 parents, if you happen to be listening to this message, if you go on Google and you seek out on Ring It Alberta's website their commentary on goaltender development, you will find this page. And they seek to interpret LTAD, long-term athlete development, and offer comments and direction as it relates to goaltenders at the U12 and U10 level. And essentially what they are expecting is that there are no full-time goalies at either of those age levels, which we all know and we choose to follow. They get, if you go a little bit further down the page, they get quite directional, where they indicate that at U12, 75% of the total games played is the limit on their team, and they kind of chunk it out to before December 31st and after December 31st. I suppose that's to avoid a team from kind of benching or parking their goalie for the early part of the season, only to have them play full-time all the rest of the way. The spirit at U12 and U10 is to allow players to continue to find their comfort zone with their position. There's even comments on this page that if you, I think they even use the term, put all your eggs in one basket with a given player at U12, they can change their mind. They might develop in different ways. And then you end up with a goalie shortage. They even comment that one of the complaints they receive from associations or parents is there aren't enough goalies out there. So they just absolutely stress at the younger age levels to really encourage multiple athletes to explore the position for all sorts of good reasons. And we were so amazed at U12 at the volume of athletes that chose to say, I am interested in being a part-time goalie. And that's why you might notice us saying thank you. What that will do is, as all U12 athletes evaluate as players and get placed at the various levels of U12, whether that's A, whether that's B, whether that's C, sometimes at those levels, we might have two teams. So maybe we've got two C teams, maybe we've got two B teams. If we know ahead of time who are the athletes interested in goal, it will help those two B coaches when they're forming the teams and us working with them to ensure that if there's 4 athletes or 6 athletes at that U12B level, we'll make sure to put 3 on each team so that there's lots of net to share. The last thing we'd want to do is accidentally or with a mistake put 5 athletes interested in goal on one team and only put 1 athlete interested in goal on the other. We are seeking balance here. So that's why we thank you at U12 for sharing your interest in goal. It is immensely important to us, and it's why you won't see us engage with you as a goalie during the evaluation process, is because of that reason. Once the teams are formed, we'll be doing all sorts of things related to goaltending development throughout the year, working with your coach, working with your team. But for the evaluations process, we are focused on being a player. Now, that takes us to equipment. And the other part of the reason where the goalie prep skate is we at times use that for a bit of an equipment outfitting, because especially if at U12 we only had 6 or 7 athletes interested in goal, we might be able to outfit each of them individually as they return to their teams. We have, I believe the number is 17 athletes interested in goal at U12, which is amazing. And we don't believe we have enough proper equipment to outfit every single one of those 17 goalies. With that said, we've got a plan. So our plan, will start with the older age levels, and this has already started. So our goalie director will be in contact and already has been with some of you on if you are a full-time goalie at, say, the U16 or U19 level, and you're noticing your blockers a little small compared to what you think you need, or you notice your leg pads you've borrowed from us are getting a bit short thanks to a growth spurt in the summer. Reach out to us. We will figure out a way to get you to the locker so you can maybe see if there's a different size of pads. At the younger levels, our intention at this point is we are going to distribute the gear we have that is about the right size for U12 and U10 to our coaches when they pick up the gear. We are then going to stay in contact with our coaches to understand what equipment do we need. We did pass a motion right at the end of our last fiscal year to set aside some dollars for goaltending equipment refurbishing, and we just need some help knowing what sizes do we need, what lengths of sticks, etc. So in talking with the goalie director, rather than us just guessing, getting a bunch of new gear and hoping it fits, we're going to get our gear out to the coaches at the younger levels. We're going to stay in contact with them, and then we're probably going to head to Totem Outfitters at some time in mid to late September or maybe early October, pick up some of the right size of pads of some gear that is in good condition, get them out to our coaches, and off we go to an amazing season with the proper amount of gear. Again, if a coach ends up with 4 players interested in goal, we may not have enough equipment to outfit every single goalie. There may just need to be some sharing, and we just hope you understand why. for myself, and this was even with another association when my athlete was expressing an interest in goal, it was a share at that kind of U10 and U12 level. And we just hope you can work with us on that. So if you have any questions about equipment, do let us know. But with that said, we've got the plan. It's to make sure our full-time goalies have what they need. It's to get our younger goalies on their teams and working with their coaches, and us to get those teams the right gear as the season gets rolling. So that's a bit of a message for goalie families today. If you have any questions on any of this, please reach out. It's an exciting time of year as we get ready to form these teams, and goaltending is certainly a big part of that. So thank you very much for expressing interest. We shall see you around the rinks. Bye for now.